So welcome to our Wednesday wisdom session at Metta Center, where we ask and invite different teachers from around the world to share wisdom with us. And today we have topic is the hidden lamp of ancient sisters, spiritual guidance and profound insights of early Buddhist women. And we have Venerable Gotami joining us from India. How exciting. And as always, just before we start, I'd like to pay respects to the traditional owners of the land that I'm coming from and where you're joining from as well. And I'd like to pay respects to the triple gems as well, the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha. And I also invite all of us to come back to this present moment and just take a breath and enjoy the breath and just enjoy being here right now and let go of whatever has happened before this moment, and fully able to just listen and absorb the wisdom that shall be shared by Venerable Gotami. So a little bit about Venerable before we start as well. Venerable Gotami is an Italian nun living in the USA. She's currently in India for some educational activities. She's a student of Ashin Nayaka, a senior monk in USA from Myanmar, founder of Buddhist Missionary Society in New York, as well as Ashin Nandobhasa, principal of Bodhisukha School in Kolkata, India. Venerable Gotami is Secretary of Maharakkhita Buddhist Monastery, Texas, USA. She has also led communities in Indianapolis, USA as well. So we're very, very lucky to have Venerable here joining us. And I'm so excited for the topic today because we learn a lot about wisdom from, the males of history. But today's talk is going to be about the other half of our population, from the female. And yeah, it's always wonderful to also have a female monastic joining us to give a talk as well. So today's session will be recorded and uploaded to YouTube. Venerable will do a bit of meditation first, a bit of a talk, and then a Q&A. So I will help with facilitating a bit of it, reading out any questions from the chat, as well as any questions from in person as well. And yeah, if you don't want to share your question with everyone, you can always privately message me as well. So yeah, without further ado, over to you, Venerable.
Okay, so good evening to all of you. I want to thank the Metta Center for giving this fantastic opportunity to join you and talk to you and share with you what I have learned and what I've known about the topic that we are going to talk about. But before starting, I would like to invite all of you to do a 50 minutes mindful meditation about our breath. So it is, I think, the best way to start Dhamma sermon, to start a Dhamma talk, by letting go all the unwholesome or unwell feelings that we had been throughout the day. So the best way is, of course, breathing in and breathing out to release all of the bad things that we feel in our mind, in our body. So what we can do first is just closing our eyes, finding comfortable position, and simply breathing in and breathing out. There is nothing more that we have to focus on. Simply the most natural meditation object that we have, which is breath. Breathe in and breathe out, trying to visualize the breath coming in through our nostrils and coming out from our mouth. Simply so. that is. Then, after these 15 minutes, we try slowly to open up our eyes and return back to this meeting, this moment, hopefully with a more relaxed and peaceful mind. We can keep going in our today's topic. So, as some of you may know, I was invited to share with you an important topic that I think is something that all of you know already about, but is always worthy of reminding in our mind. Early Buddhism was equally established by women and men. There were both for both genders important figures in early Buddhism that have established Buddhism and made it as great as it is nowadays. I think that especially when it comes to talk about women in Buddhism, there is something very important that we have to remember about. Buddhism was established more than 2,500 years ago in the ancient India. You can imagine, even nowadays, women in different parts of the world have no access to the same advantages and the same equality as men. Imagine about the women's situation 2,500 years ago in India. It is unthinkable what the women of those times have done in order to make Buddhism flourish, and also in order to have the right to focus and follow a religious and spiritual path, which was something absolutely incredible for the women of those times. In ancient India, of course, the woman was segregated to only the role of homemaker, mother, and that's all. Most of her life was just segregated in the house. There were not many things she could do. She could not jump onto something beyond that role. But in the canon of Buddhist teaching, there are in the Tipitaka, it records and promotes spiritual equality for both genders. There are many episodes, many events and stories from both the life of the Buddha and also after his parinibbana, highlighting the role of women in Buddhism. I think that all of us, when we talk about the great women in Buddhism, we may think about Mahapajapati Gotami. Of course, more than 2,500 years ago, the monasticism was something that was not supposed to be in the minds of women. As we have already said, at those time, it was supposed that only men would be pursuing that kind of liberation. It was supposed that only men would be interested and encouraged to pursue moksha, liberation. But at the time of the Buddha, there were some women that started having that awareness that they also wanted to be a part of a sangha, which was something incredible for those times. Of course, who was the first bhikkhuni of the old times? It was Mahapajapati Gotami. She was, as we know, the first woman to be allowed to join the sangha, and she was the stepmother of the Buddha. Of course, when we see that, even though after a few hesitation from the Buddha due to, of course, the situation that was there for the women, seeing that after that he has allowed women to join and create a Bhikkhuni Sangha means that the Buddha has accepted and believes that women and men have equally chance and possibility to pursue a religious path and succeed in that. Of course, many of the monks and nuns of those times, and even now, we have joined a religious life in order to liberate ourselves. And of course, it means that women are also able to do that. The ordination of Gotami and the other women and the other nuns that we see in the times after that have created as well one of the most impressive literature work that express and narrate the fantastic wisdom of the women, which is the Therigatha. Thanissaro Bhikkhu has said that Therigatha is mostly one of the earliest texts depicting women's spiritual life and experiences. As already said, the creation of Bhikkhuni Sangha was something that was absolutely futuristic for the women of those times in an ancient India. Even for me, that I was born in a conservative part of Italy, I was born in South Italy, reading about the fantastic courage that these women had at those times made me more willing and more courageous whenever I had faced different kind of problems at the beginning when I started joining the religious life in Buddhism, which is something incredible for the people who are born in the place where I was born. And of course, what the women at those times have done are a great example, not only for the Buddhist women, but as well the women of any other faith, any other religion. Again, women in Buddhism have a complete spiritual equality. Women have the same chance as men to reach Nibbana. They have the same potential. This idea was very let's say very innovative at those times. The Buddha has regarded women in a valid and of course also equal idea. I'm a story that I think that is very interesting and as well expressed the way the Buddha has regarded women is that during the 7th rainy season, the Buddha have went to the heaven to the Tabidansa heaven and preached Abhidhamma to his mother, his biological mother, who has passed away 7 days after giving birth to him. She was of course reborn as a deva, and he went by himself to the heaven in order to preach Abhidhamma to her, and this allowed her to enter the Sotapanna stage and starting her journey toward total liberation. So we see how the Buddha not only say that the women have same equality in terms of spirituality, but as well the tender way he has regarded women. There is one important story in one sutta, which is the Kosala Samyutta Sutta, where the king Pasenadi Kosala was complaining about the fact that his wife has given birth to a daughter. Of course, at those times, the most auspicious thing that may happen was giving birth to a son. Then the Buddha has told them, there is nothing less in a woman, in a daughter than a boy. Women and men can be equally useful and helpful in the society and in the religion. And the Buddha also elevated the status of women, saying that a woman is as well a mother of a man. And without a woman, there will be no chances to be born as a human and have a chance to, given this very important chance to be born as a human, you can, having some logic, you have that possibility to go toward Nibbana with your own dedication, with your discipline. So there is not only, as I said, not only that social context that the Buddha went beyond that, and he understood, of course, the context of ancient Indian society and understood the limits, but as well went beyond that, and he gave a very fantastic chance to all the women who were generally seen as subordinate as men to do something great. We can think that in this monastic setting, of course, it was interesting to see that even someone's wife was able to join the Sangha. We know that Yasodhara was the wife of the Buddha, as well was able to join the Bhikkhuni Sangha in order to follow her husband's great role and being able to reach a higher spiritual level. So you see, there were women who wanted to do something. The Buddha has given them a great chance to do that. And they have left an important example, in my opinion, even nowadays. Not only this example, there are many examples that I have talked about with Julian when we were talking about today's Dhamma talk. We know of, for example, the story of Kisa Gotami. She was a woman from Savatthi who experienced a terrible, profound pain of grief when her little son died. At those times, it may be expected that the women would just be lost in themselves and then not go beyond that. We know that lots of women have even lost themselves after their husband has passed away in ancient India, and we know about those traditions of those times when such kind of things happen. But so the Buddha has given understanding to these women. In fact, when Kisa Gotami went to the Buddha and asked what he could do for her son, actually even asked her, please revive my son. But the Buddha, with total understanding and affection, have told her, I will help you only in one condition. If you can find a white mustard seed from a family where no one has died, bring them to me and I will help you. Then she accepted very happily this challenge, and then she went house by house, town by town, and asked whether is there anybody in that house who hasn't lost a relative. But all of them have told them, I'm really sorry. Someone has died in our house, so we cannot help you. Then she went back to the Buddha, and the Buddha has said, you see, that is something that cannot be avoided, whether you are old or young, male or woman. That is cannot be unavoidable for everyone. So I cannot help you in that sense. But that lesson, given with so much understanding and affection, has deeply helped her. And then she even she understood the reality of life. She became an arhat, a person who has seen the truth. Then there are not only such characters in the early Buddhist literature of this kind of women. There are even some women who have chosen a loose life that eventually, through the Buddha's teaching, they have completely changed their lifestyle and became wise and valuable people for the society. There is, for example, a renegade prostitute of Vesali who was called Ampali. She was very beautiful. She was very attractive, and lots of rich people have reached her for her work, for her service. But she still was very devout to the Buddha. The Buddha came to Vesali, and she offered him everything that she had. She gave up even her profession after the Buddha has explained and met her. And then she embraced the life of a bhikkhuni. There are as well very famous gathas of Ambapali, which are called the gathas of Ambapali in Pali language, where she talk about her experience as a Buddhist nun and what the Buddha's teaching has given her. The poetry talks about all of her hardships and terrible things she has been through, because of course we know the life of a prostitute is not a protected life as the life of a nun. There are lots of terrible things you have to go through and lots of hard realities. But at several points, Ambapali was deeply inspired by the teachings of the Buddha. She achieved the spiritual realization because of the noble teaching of the Buddha. Her mind was finally happy and at peace. And the Buddha's teachings again gives us a lesson that literally everyone can have a chance to achieve spiritual liberation. Not only women or normal men, even women or men who have been doing terrible things in their life or unwholesome things in their life, they still have until their last breath, they have a chance to change themselves. They have a chance to become a better person and a wise person. Even a prostitute can do that. There are even lots of examples of other prostitutes in the Therigatha. For example, Venerable Vimala as well, in which there are a very great gatha also about her. The story of the great women of Buddhism, of course, does not end even after the death of the Buddha. There was a great nun which approximately 240 years after the death of the Buddha did something great, crossing seas and mountains in order to spread her faith and let other women being more awareness about life, about reality. Here we are talking about Arahant Sanghamitta Mahateri. She's as well a very great figure in Buddhism. She's of course highly respected and praised and worshipped in Sri Lanka because of her great work for Buddhism in bringing a branch of the Bodhi tree to Sri Lanka, which now we find in Anuradhapura. And what she has done is something still exceptional for the women of those times. At those times, women were not supposed to go alone, and especially going outside without a male member of the family, which is something that's still going on in many places in the world. But imagine that a woman more than 2,000 years ago, she has done such kind of thing. She went against her father, who was not at all agreeing with this, with her idea, as she was invited to bring this branch of the Buddha, the Bodhi tree. But of course, it was something incredible. But eventually, she was allowed to do that. And several nuns accompanied the Theri, who say to Sri Lanka, carrying the bow's sapling together with the minister Arita. This was a courageous action on the part of Sanghamitta in an age where, of course, there were ideas that it was very dangerous for a woman to do that. But she was indeed a liberated woman who did a lot to defy those kind of rigid ideas. And she still did a great job in, of course, as well, creating a Bhikkhuni Sangha in Sri Lanka, because there were many other women who were willing to become nuns at those time, but they didn't have a chance to do that. As of course, then there is needed as well of the Bhikkhuni Sangha to ordain a nun, as many of you may know. So the list of stories of these brave women are, in my opinion, something that can help us to have more understanding about how we women don't actually have problems to reach some kind of spiritual understanding as many others may want us to think. When some people try to hold us on and try to stop this path that we can purchase, that we can pursue, we can remember the great action, the great deeds that these women, not only nuns but as well lay women, have done in the early times of Buddhism, where the situation was much difficult, of course. But still, the great deeds of these women are an example for all the women in the world, not only Buddhists, as I said, but as well belonging to other faiths, belonging to other religions from any part of the world. So here I am. Okay. So I think all of us are on off, but if you want, we can start by asking questions.
Sorry, I'm not sure if Venerable's frozen or if we're frozen here. Maybe Venerable's frozen.
Do you do meditations also in this group?
Yeah, we do. So on Mondays we have
Vipassana.
not necessarily strictly Vipassana. We do all kinds of different styles. Yeah, but come and talk to us after we can.
Yeah, sorry.
No, we're good. So Venerable, thank you for this lovely talk. Did you say that you're happy for people to ask questions now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Wonderful. Sorry. Great. So yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to like type them in the chat, or you can also put your hand up, virtual hand up, and unmute yourself to ask the question. And for those in person, you're also free to ask the question. I can unmute for you, or you can let me know and I can ask the question for you. So while everyone's typing in the questions, Venerable, I guess I can kick us off. You know, we always need someone to ask the first question. Who would you say would be a woman figure who inspires you the most out of all the women you've talked about or not talked about? And what may be the one piece of wisdom you've learned from the story of that woman?
Okay, so of course, in according to my feelings, of course, I like the most Mahapajapati Gotami, because, as I said already, in those times, thinking a woman that went which went forth, which ordained as a woman, as a nun, at those times is something incredible, because she's the in my opinion the point where everything has changed, because when the women had that understanding that they may wanted to be a nun, but because of some reason they may have had fear, they may have may not be confident about themselves doing that, may have some kind of doubts about themselves. But when she has started that sangha, then when the Buddha has allowed her to join, to create a Bhikkhuni Sangha, and then allow other nuns to do that, in my opinion, is where everything has started. Then that understanding, the awareness of the women have started. And of course, I think that is the piece of wisdom that has changed me. And of course, being born in a conservative part of the world, this was something that since childhood has inspired me and made me think, if other women have decided uh, to be to be a nun and to do something, to be something good, so I maybe can be a part of that too through my uh, to my efforts. I think that's a great chance.
Oh, great. Thank you for sharing the story and also why that inspires you. It does sound like having people you can look up to and say, I can be like them is very important. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah. And we have another question in the chat. Do you know whether women were involved in the first and second gatherings after the Buddha died, or did they become excluded at the time he had the Mahaprabha?
Hmm. So I may have to remember about that, right? It's a question for all, so I will. Because so actually in the first gatherings, if I'm not wrong, actually the presence of the bhikkhunis was not mentioned, but before saying that we have to be bishop, but they are not actually mentioned. That's why. But maybe some other text may say something otherwise. But yeah,
Not explicit.
yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. Do you have any other questions from the person online? Venerable, do you have any modern day women monastics or teachers that you would look up to? Like the people that we would know of, essentially.
Oh yes, of course. Even she's in the United States. She's an Italian nun. Her name is Aya Soma. I think she has done a
Oh,
great job. And I mean, I think you may know her, and she has done a great job. And she's been creating um a monastery here I mean in Italy. And of course another monastic that I like really much is Ayakema.
mm,
And of course, yes, um, these are just a few, but there are other. There was as well in this is actually in the Myanmar history. There is a nun who is a Nepali nun, and who she went to Burma when she was 16 years old to learn the Buddhist teachings, and she's highly regarded by Burmese people because she has been to Myanmar by foot. She went from Nepal to Myanmar by foot, and
wow.
now she's 94. She lives in Nepal in Kathmandu. She she's very much appreciated because she was only 15 and she followed her master was a Burmese monk uh, all the way to Mon State in Myanmar to join the monastic education. And I have read about her several times, and I think it's a very inspirational figure of the recent days. She's still alive and she's 94.
Wow. That is incredible to travel that
Yes.
far by foot. Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. And let alone like being a woman like monastic, you probably have a lot more things you have to be cautious of as well. Walking around and so on.
Of course. Okay, I will start by saying that I'm not a part of the Bhikkhuni Sangha because I was ordained in Burma. The nuns in Burma follow mostly 8 to 10 precepts. So you may know, yes, some have follow 9, some follow 8, some follow 10. So of course, even so, there are still some difficulties, I think, for different nuns around the world. But seeing that women are doing something in order to uplift the situation of nuns in the world is very great. Even in Myanmar itself, there are now lots of nunneries where women, even only some women-only monasteries where nuns meditate and have a lead in the place. And I think that's something great that is happening in the last few years.
Yeah, wonderful. Absolutely. Oh, Eugene has a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to, thank you, Venerable, for the talk. I just wondering, if it's convenient for you to share, I think we'd be interested to know more about sort of your work in India.
Yes. So I've been here. Right now I'm in Sri Lanka actually,
Oh,
but I've been in India for the last 3 months, mostly for the rainy retreat, and I have as well teach in one of my master's school. For example, some moral classes and some meditation classes too for very young children in his school. And it has been a great opportunity for me to get more close to the people and understanding about what they feel, whether they are, even though they are children, they still have their feelings and they have their sufferings. And being able to get in contact with that and learn from that is a great experience for me. And maybe we also can do something good for them at the same time.
yeah, that's really great. Yeah. Are there many other nuns in India that
Of
you've
course.
met?
Of course. Yeah, I've been to Bodh Gaya for a few days, and I have met nuns from different traditions, different temples, and it was a great experience to meet them. But the place where I've been stayed teaching is in Kolkata, but not too far from Bodh Gaya though, just less than an hour flight.
Thank you for sharing. And we have Jaya Surya, who's put their hand up. Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question. Sorry, Danushka. Yeah.
Everyone, Saranai. Good evening, Bante. Danushka. Yeah, my name is Danushka. I'm originally from Sri Lanka, but now live in Australia. So it's good to hear that you actually in Sri Lanka nowadays. So my question comes basically with this. It's just I'm trying to like to know your thoughts basically around this, because it's this rather not a question, but just to understand your point of view. So in Sri Lanka, especially, we have the Theravadic tradition mostly. But now what we know, sort of, because in the past, at some point, what they're saying, this nunhood or the ordination, the lineage was broken at some point, and then there was 0 nuns. So then they restored it recently, and some bhikkhus say, because they didn't have enough ordinated nuns to restore. I think at least they need 4 nuns or something to restore this. So then what some people are saying, it's the lineage was broken. Because of that, you can't actually restore it. I mean, like in Sri Lankan Theravadic tradition, they say like that. But I know that in some countries like Thailand and the Mahayana, they actually accept this. Even the lineage is broken, they come back and restore. So how this actually, you see this different schools having different sort of practices when it comes to ordination and restoring the lineage, because sometimes it's a bit hard to understand how this actually in the practice point of view, like the nunhood and even the monks. I think in Sri Lanka, like they actually they lost the lineage back in 1800 or something, and then they had to bring Burmese monks to reinstate the monk back in Sri Lanka. So then there were some stories like that. So I just want to understand, like, what is your point of view on that?
So, of course, as I think firstly that no matter what, I'm happy to see women doing something great, whether I accept that or agree with that or not. Seeing women that are doing great jobs and they are doing something for what they believe in is very great. Of course, as I have already said, I follow the 8 precepts as I was ordained in Burma, and actually this in Sri Lanka there are the Dasasilmata, right? And they were also a kind of religious lineage, let's say, that was brought from Myanmar, because at those times in Sri Lanka there were no any way for women to ordain, and at the same time there was not still the revival of the Bhikkhuni Sangha. So someone had went to Burma and then bring a new kind of monasticism, let's say, for women that was quite new in Sri Lanka. And then it's when the Dasasilmata group has started appearing in Sri Lanka. As I said, let's say I'm a Dasasilmata, let's say, according to how Sri Lankan people see me, as I'm not a fully ordained nun. I think that I should not judge whether this is right or wrong. I just say that being a woman, I'm very happy to see women doing something good, seeing women doing something great. So I keep myself neutral in that.
Yeah, no, thank you, thank you, Venerable Gotami. It's really good, because I think that's how we should see, because past is past, you can't change things, but just how we continue is what is important, I think. No, thank you very much for that answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I agree. Thank you for that answer, Venerable. We don't have enough neutral opinions in this day and age sometimes. Well, please feel free to keep asking questions. Venerable, I'm quite curious about your tradition. So, which tradition, what does your teacher teach? What sort of meditations do you do? What attracted you to, I guess, become the a preceptor in this particular tradition that you're in?
So I had a good invitation in Burma those times to become a nun, and I wanted to become a nun since I'm very young. I mean, I'm 25 now. I became a nun 2 years ago. So I was 23, and then I had this fantastic opportunity to become a nun in Burma, and it was not the best time to go there, because it was when the civil war had already started at those times. But I wanted to become a nun, so I went there anyways. And then I started my journey, and then I had a chance to meet the teacher, who is my teacher now, who is from United States. I have moved to the States, and I've been following him and going under his training. And then during these 2 years, of course, I have learned a lot of things. It was a natural feeling for me that I wanted to join. I wanted to join a monastic life since I was quite young. And since I was little, I was so much drawn into Buddhism. Then when I had the good chance to do that, when I saw the time that I had to do that, then I immediately went for it. And then under my teacher, I've started learning the text, and learning from his wisdom too. He has been a monk already for 40 years, so.
Oh, wonderful. Who's your teacher, and what type of practice does he teach?
Okay, I got the message from someone who asked, "Who is your teacher now? Please, sorry if I missed it."
Yes.
I have sent her, yeah. So yes. Mostly whenever I'm with my teacher, we follow mostly on the teachings on the text. We are very, yes, varied ways. That's mostly what we focus on. When it comes about meditation, we follow Chamyen Siaro. technique.
Miss Yarrow.
Yes, Chamye Siaro. It's a
Oh.
Burmese one.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yes, mostly yes. Follow is one of the Burmese master of meditation.
Okay. And what type of meditation does he teach? Would that be Vipassana? Is this Burmese or is it?
Yes, yes.
Oh.
There is also a lot of focusing as well on the metta and so you wait some other question, can be anything. Hi. Hi, Bill. I think you have a mute. You're mute. Can we open your microphone?
Yeah. First of all, a comment. The lady who's 94 years old now, doing that walk from Kathmandu to Burma, is an incredible feat.
Yes.
I had an uncle in the Second World War in the British Army, and they marched through India, what is now Bangladesh. Back in the Second World War, it was still India. And more of the troops died during that march than what there were in the actual warfare with the Japanese in Burma. Yeah, so yeah, the conditions crossing the mountains, they're very, very tough. And anyhow, the question I have for you is, I go to Malaysia quite regularly, and occasionally to Thailand, and I see virtually every temple in Malaysia has statues of Kuan Yin, who I understand is female there and in other parts of the world considered male. You know, the temples, be they Chinese, be they Thai, or even there's one that I go to that's Burmese, I think. They all have statues of Kuan Yin, and but during all the talks I see week after week, never ever mentioned.
Oh, I see.
And just wondering your thoughts on that.
Oh, that's really interesting because, of course, I've never been to Malaysia. I would love to go there and see it, you know, myself. Of course, as we know, Guanyin Pusa is a part of the Chinese Mahayana Buddhism. But I think that mostly they may be doing that in order to as well accustom to the local Buddhist belief. Most of them are Mahayana Buddhists. And it's very surprising for me to know that there are such statues as well in Thai and Burmese temples, as you know, they follow Theravada. But I think it's a kind of maybe trying, you know, to as well accept and adjust to the local culture.
Like adjusting the food over here to the Australian taste.
Syncretism.
Interesting. Yeah. Thank you.
Venerable, I think I heard a talk once saying that possibly the first bhikkhuni was actually Bhadda Kundakalesa. Have you've probably read about her? Can you offer us some insight into her story? I think I remember little bits here and there. She's quite a inspirational kind of female figure in early Buddhism as well. Do you know much about that?
Well, personally, I stuck mostly on the idea, that the traditional idea that Mahabhajapati Gotami has been the first nun. So I'm not really aware about this other theory that she may not have been the first nun. But of course, I will be very interested to read about this theory in the future. But mostly I'm stuck about the traditional idea about which Mahabhajapati Gotami was the first.
There's a comment in the chat too, in relation to the Guanyin idea in Tibetan Buddhism, goddess Tara, as referred to in Chinese versions of Guanyin. So we also have a Guanyin statue in our Senti monastery, which is a Theravada monastery too. So I guess we're all interchangeable. Yeah.
Yes, that's beautiful to see how different cultures, connect each other. And I've seen even here in Sri Lanka, there are some people who have some altars, and they even have Buddha and Jesus together, and very interesting. I mean, why
Really?
not? Yeah, but they have respect for both, and I think that's also interesting. That's also a nice way how this syncretism is going, in the island here.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's a really interesting idea. I mean, like something that's not super related to the topic today is like we know that, well, I personally think that, between the different Buddhist sects, you've got sort of one truth, right? And we're all trying to describe it through different angles. But then you have other religions like Christianity or Islamic religions. Like I've heard amazing stories from my friend who's Muslim, and she said that people who are super religious in her religion, they also can get into deep states and can have psychic powers. And that's pretty incredible for me to hear because, yeah, there's a few messages in the chat. So someone said, there's one story when Jesus was missing for 3 years. He was actually in a Buddhist temple learning the way. Xing said, I had a book about that. Really? No way. That would be amazing.
Yes, of course it is. But as your Muslim friend says, there's this Sufism, which they call the mystical Islam, and there are even some kind of meditations and some kind of spiritual rituals in Sufism, which is one of the school of Islam. There must be this, and it's really interesting to see. It's also quite widespread in Asia, a quite widespread Islamic school in Asia.
Yeah. So yeah, some Buddhist teachers I know are interreligious too, so they don't. Not only are they non-sectarian in the Buddhist sense, but they also not sectarian in the religious sense.
Yes.
Yeah, we're obviously here for a reason, which is the fourfold path and Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. So someone also Lenny also commented, because when he came back to teach in his own land, he had a new commandment, which was love one another as I have loved to. This had never before been in the Jewish religion. From another series. Interesting. So there's a teacher, there's someone who asked, please elaborate on how to reach to that mystical state of divine union. Thank you. I don't know if that's
Oh, well, I'm not a Sufi monk. I don't want to say.
There's
Yes.
also a private chat, which is bringing us back to the topic of Buddhism. So, you mentioned you were drawn to Buddhism when you were young. What specifically drew you to Buddhism at that time?
Oh, well, I had it's something that others may believe or not, but I had several dreams when I was quite young, when I was just a child, and then I felt completely interested about Buddhism. But of course, I was just 7 years old, and I didn't have a chance to learn and to know about the teachings. But then when I was 17 years old, I started joining some temples in my hometown, which is quite surprising because, as I said, it's actually a quite conservative place in the south of Italy, small town. But still, there were Buddhist people, and I was very happy to join there, and it was, of course, Theravada tradition. Then from there, I had a good chance to start connecting with other Buddhists, to start connecting with the monks, and getting to know more about Buddhism. Unfortunately, there were no nuns. It's actually a very rare view. But once I went to Asia for the first time, I saw women in robes for the first time, and it was very eye-opening for me, knowing that there are nuns, but I have never seen before.
Yeah, that would be quite eye-opening. You were in a small town in Italy, and like wouldn't be where you would normally see a lot of temples. So when you mentioned you had dreams, are you okay to talk more about what exactly about those dreams or what ideas potentially about Buddhism?
Oh, well, that's actually nothing really special, but I would dream about monks, and like I would see monks. It is nothing special, actually. It's not a big dream, but it was very strange for me because I was not at all connected with Buddhism at those time. As I said, one of our family is a Catholic family, not really devout, but still we are, still they are. And that is, I was born in Sicily. I think you may have heard about that. And of course, it's very stick to traditions, and it was something strange, of course, to see them, a woman going forward and deciding to become a nun and giving up to the traditional ideas of women that are given to us. That's why I say, actually, in some places, it's still not much different from 2,500 years ago. The reaction is still the same.
Yes. It's actually quite very courageous of you to pursue the path that you believe is right for you, at such a young age too.
Yes, it was a difficult thing to accept for some people. But at the end, the Buddha said that we have to rely on ourselves. So what other people think is not really important as long as we rely on our own discipline and perseverance. So it's we have to rely on ourselves if we want to be liberated. We cannot really spend our time thinking about what other things. We just give them back. We don't take it. We go on our path. That's the most important.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a wonderful insight for sure. And that's probably what took you all the way to Burma too, when it was civil war time. That was also a very courageous move.
Yeah, that was quite a dangerous choice. But I believe that nothing can stop someone if they want to go towards something. There is not always the perfect time or the perfect place for anything. So I said, we may die anytime. So it's better to seize the opportunity, and of course, with all I mean, all the safety tools and everything, of course, we have to go. Yolanda has sent a message, connect with us if you decide to visit Australia one day. Oh, I have visited Australia actually, and I was in
Oh.
Melbourne. Yes. Who knows if I'm back? I may come. It will be nice to
Yes.
connect. In Sydney, I haven't been to Sydney. I've been only to Melbourne. So I come to Sydney. Yes, of course I will.
We're the better city. I'm kidding. No, yeah, it'll be wonderful to have you in Sydney for sure as well. Like, let us know. Yeah. So like, oh, and we have requests for you to come to Brisbane too. Looks like you need to do a around Australia tour.
I should.
There's a big
Thank
Italian community in Melbourne as well, apparently.
Oh yes, there are lots of Italians, and I mean, we are everywhere.
Yeah. How was your experience in Melbourne? Which temples or where did you go visit?
Oh yeah, there are some different temples actually, some Vietnamese temple. A lot of there.
Oh.
I think you know, like lots of Vietnamese temples are there. There are lots of Vietnamese people there. So I have visited many of them. I couldn't stay for a long time, so I just came as a visitor actually. I didn't live there.
Oh, okay.
So I will be very happy to visit you, and of course, you are a very open-minded community, and very nice and friendly community. So I would be very happy to visit.
And you can
I will.
actually provide a talk maybe in person. We can have a chat.
Oh, that would be much more easier and more comfortable, I think, for all of us. Now, I mean, we got a great opportunity by having these Zooms, but I'm not really expert in this. So I hope that I have done everything nicely.
We can see you clearly, we can hear you clearly, we're having a good chat. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Susie also said, we know Aya Soma, and yes, she's establishing a Buddhist monastery in Italy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Yes, I have met her, and she was a very inspiring figure, and I like what she's doing. Even though we follow different traditions, but it doesn't mean that we cannot appreciate. Even though we follow different paths, it doesn't matter at all.
Absolutely. Agree with you.
Yeah, I was actually wondering, what's the balance between like monks and nuns in your tradition, Venerable?
Okay. Balance in the sense of number, or
Oh yeah, like number, yeah, roughly.
of course, monks are always more than nuns. I think, especially in the Theravada, whether they are full of nuns or precept 10 precept nuns or whatever, there are always more monks than nuns.
Yeah, for sure.
I believe that there are still many women who want to pursue that kind of life, but they're still held back for different reasons, maybe social reasons or cultural reasons too. Sometimes there is a tendency to think that maybe women become nuns not actually because they really want to, but some people think they may have be facing some problems. That's why they want to become nuns, and some other actually untrue statements. But some people are maybe still worried of some judgment, and of course it is a very important path, and I think it has to be decided to follow that when we are fully ready. There is no limitation of age. You can become nun at any time. You can become a monk at any time. So it's better to do that when you are fully sure of what you're doing. It's an important choice of life, and there are lots of things to give up.
what made you know for sure that a nun's life was right for you?
So, I became a nun actually twice, because one time was, in a temporary term, like most, it happens in most Theravada countries.
Yes.
And after doing that, I practically became a nun again after 2 months till now. I did that. I lived that life. I felt it was good for me, so I simply came back almost immediately. I mean, I have a white ball, so I was sure it was what I wanted. In many Theravada countries, there is this tradition that monks, the women or men become nun or monk at least once in a lifetime, at least 7 days or 10 days, or how long they want to stay as that. And I did that for 1 month. I felt it was really good for me, and after a few months I had the chance again to reordain, and then I'm here till now.
Wonderful. Sounds like you really found the right path for you, and that's wonderful.
Yes, I feel
Yeah.
really relieved and learning what is wholesome. Practicing what is wholesome is a great blessing
Yes,
indeed.
absolutely. Is there any other questions? Otherwise, we will finish up for today. Oh, Sing Sing said, thank you for sharing your journey, Venerable.
Thank
It's inspiring.
you.
Yes, and I absolutely agree with Sing Sing. It was such
I will
a
reply back to the message.
yeah.
So
Oh,
much.
sorry, were you saying something, Venerable? Oh. Yeah, thank you so much, Venerable,
no.
for joining us, for giving us your time to share your story, and also the stories of many women from the modern times and the ancient times as sources of inspiration. We don't hear about those stories all the time, and so yeah, it's wonderful to have you help us remember. And your story of how you courageously went against the mainstream in a small town in Italy, as well as go all the way to Burma when there was a civil war on, is so inspirational too. And when you talk about how like when you're gonna die soon, so you gotta be liberated, you gotta liberate yourself. That's also just, it's almost like a really strong reminder that yes, we all gonna die soon. So what are we doing? Not supporting ourselves to be liberated. So thank you so much for again for giving up the talk and for taking the time to chat with us. So would you like to finish off with the dedication of merits or a prayer?
Okay, of course. Of course, I share with you the merit that I have done. Then let's share together the merit that we have done so far, to the people that they have left us, to all the beings that are here in this world, whether we know them or not, whether we will meet them or not, in whichever area of the world they are, and not all in the world, but as well, let's share our good merits to all the beings in this universe.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Venerable. Thank you everyone for coming in person and also online. Thank you for your questions and participation. Very interesting talk today. As always, we have regular notifications bing at the end of our talks. So we have Monday meditations. So we have which is in Bankstown and online as well. Tuesdays, yoga in person in Bankstown, and then Wednesdays, it will be in person here in Parramatta as well as online. We have monthly meetups with Aya Karunika, the Senti nuns, and the next one will be the 27th of October. So it will be coming up soon. We also have Ajahn Tunisro's Sydney teaching tour on the 22nd and 23rd of November. So he's going to be in person in Sydney. He's a great teacher. So we would love to have you there. And on the 3rd of November, there's a mindful reset. Also a female monastic from Indonesia will be visiting. So Bhikkhuni Tita Karini will be joining. So she's we hear wonderful things about her. So hope you can join us at Buddhist Library. There will be food there. So if it's not the Dharma talk, I hope the food will bring you there. So that's all for tonight. Hope you have a lovely evening, everyone. And thank you for joining. See you soon next week.